Chimafidi non kotu era one radio. Samupe jumpe dietia. Chimafidi non kotu era one radio. Oh, and you pantuma. Chintu asam pantuma. Chintu egratumuma. Era one, lebo numpankua.
They are four women. They are beautiful with brains. They are eloquent, decent, wise, and experienced. You have heard many, the funny. Now, it's time to hear the experienced and the brainy. Meet Selena, Dorcas, Gifty, and Annette as they present the real in common getting. In common BISS chain, the dead, as in Takrenu assume the dead, the real in common getting. Showing live this and every Sunday.
Every child deserves the chance to grow up healthy. In Ghana, many vulnerable children and families struggle to afford basic health insurance. That means sickness can quickly become a crisis. Diaspora Works and Relief Agency, also known as DWRA, is helping change that. Working with Ghana's National Health Insurance Scheme, DWRA helps provide free health insurance access for children in need and supports communities through real outreach on the ground. Your donation can help protect a child's health, restore hope to families, and expand this life-changing work. To give today, call 559-767-1593, email dwrac@gmail.com, send Cash App to $DRAF, or send Zelle to DRAF. Donate today and help protect a child's health and future. Diaspora Works and Relief Agency. Compassion in action.
All right, let me do this quickly and we'll start.
Sampa dietia. Chimafidi non kotu era one radio. Samupe jumpe dietia. Chimafidi non kotu era one radio. Oh, and you pantuma. Chintu asam pantuma. Chintu egratumuma. Era one, lebo numpankua.
Hello. Good evening, everyone, radio listeners and viewers all over the world. It's another Saturday, the 6th day of June 2026. We are broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and also on Modern Ghana Radio. Tonight, we're coming your way again with our health show, which is that health is what protected. But tonight, we want to discuss Ebola. What do you know about Ebola? This is what is trending now. Of course, if you've been listening to the news, you know that Ebola is actually taking trends and roots in Kenya, some part of, I think, Congo and maybe Uganda. Well, I mean, for those of you in Ghana, you might want to learn a little bit about this Ebola. So tonight, Dr. Ernesto Pokwajim and myself are going to do a little discussion. We have about 45 minutes to go, so we'll try and do our best. Tietie for Imre Nyaminadum. Yanamu be pensin. Yare bi start say eti say. Amfa yare abada 2014, 2016 ABC wo Liberia for Ebola ankofo wu ya ananya agro ntimbre sisi na trend wo Kenya, Congo, and I think part of Uganda ntimbre Dr. Penny and the Sopokwajima ewa ha yebe cheche mukakra say Ebola Martin there what is it in the fiba here and then the betumi aya yare ntumi nchi. That is what we are discussing tonight. So on behalf of our studio manager Dr. Setutu and the Rawan team will bring you greetings. Doc, you are welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Boyson. And my greetings to our guests and all those who are listening to us. So I'm waiting for
all right,
you,
please go to
kick on now, so because our time is very limited.
I know. All right, please go to Facebook, YouTube, and share. This is the health show that you want people to know what is going on. All right, as I said earlier on, we are looking at Ebola. We're supposed to have Dr. Setutu with us. I mean, he started the DWRA Works voluntary program, non-profit organization that he started in Ghana. We wanted to, I think I did host him last week or so. We wanted to touch on some areas, but unfortunately, he couldn't join us. So we are zooming in into our Ebola subject. What is Ebola? So I did a little study with this book called Microbiology, A Human Perspective by Nesta Roberts, Pearsall Anderson, and Nesta. And this is a few things that I gathered. That in 1995, an outbreak of Ebola hemorrhagic fever in Zaire, or Zaire, some people call it, captured international headlines and claimed over 230 lives. And so a little bit of Ebola, let's learn a little bit before Dr. Adesopo Kwajima comes in. So the Ebola virus is one of the most virulent viruses known, with an incubation period of 2 to 21 days and a mortality rate of 50 to 90%, depending on the strain. The disease, named for a river near its discovery, is characterized by the abrupt onset of fever, weakness, muscle pains, sore throat, and headache. Initial symptoms soon progress to include vomiting, diarrhea, rash, both internal and external bleeding, and often death due to organ failure and shock. There is no vaccine or cure for Ebola hemorrhagic fever. There is only supportive therapy. The transmission of the virus is through direct person-to-person contact with contaminated blood, secretions, or body fluids. Because of this type of transmission, hospital personnel and family members caring for infected patients are at particular risk for contracting the virus. In Cecilia, I don't say, yeah, when they ensure they need a cure, vaccination, you can take it to limit the symptoms, but you have to take care because mortality rate almost 50 to 90%. Yeah, sure, your chances of survival are between you are likely to die between 50 and 90%. So it's quite virulent. All right, Doc, let me hand over to you. What else do you want to tell us about the Ebola virus?
Yeah, in addition to the we have to know where at this present time the Ebola has an epidemic. So when you look at the African map, you can see that Democratic Republic of Congo is the place that they have the epidemics now. And this country is a very big country that bounds with several countries like Southern Sudan, Uganda, and then Rwanda, Congo, and Angola, or something like that. So when you look at the location where Central Republic is, a lot of people come there and they move out. So you are seeing that the disease is spreading from that focal point to other areas. Right now, I think they have reported cases in Gabon, reported cases in Congo, Uganda, and then Southern Sudan. And originally, if you all know, so the there was a time that there was an epidemic in Liberia, Guinea, and Sierra Leone area, where a lot of people also died. Ebola is a viral disease, and there are the parasite that causes Ebola, according to the studies, is classified into 3. If you look at the World Health Organization state, they say that it's only 3 viruses that cause that. They have Ebola virus, original one, that was originated from River Ebola. There's a Sudan virus, and then the Dibungua virus. All of them are very severe viruses. When they attack human beings, as you readily said, they have only about 50% or maybe 20 to 90% chances of living. Now, can Ebola come to Ghana? It's what we have to know. And then we have to educate our people to understand the communicability of the disease and how we can prevent it. We are told that Ebola has about 3 main viruses that carry the disease. Now, if they carry the disease, how is it transmitted? According to World Health Organization, the only known transmission is by contact. And the contact is not in further when you hold the person, you're going to get an infection. But when there is any fluid or blood coming from that person and you get in touch with that kind of fluid, it is most likely that you can contract the disease. I think there is a similar disease like that also travel in that nature. Or in fact, almost all the viral diseases always do that. Most of them are in the fluid and then at the same time in the blood. So when you don't contact it, you don't get it. So there are areas that we are going to be very particular about it. How to handle the case, how to handle it at home, how to handle it when you are taking the person to the hospital, and how to take the person to the hospital, the hospital staff how to handle it. And then again, when the person supposedly dies and you're going to bury him, the way you should handle it. Those are the areas that are actually causing the disease to be transmitted from people to people. But before then, do we know the origin of this infection? There are some school of thoughts as recorded by the World Health Organization that there are animals like the chimpanzees, the animals like fruit bats, gorillas, monkeys, forest antelopes, porcupines, and all kinds of these related animals in the rainforest that are supposedly or allegedly harboring this kind of viruses. So human beings get in touch with them when they handle these viruses, and the fluid of these animals get in touch with human being. The human being becomes a secondary reservoir of infection. The primary one is the animal that we just mentioned, and the secondary human reservoir is human being who has contracted this disease. But let me just tell you, when you contract the disease, there are certain signs that you get. I think Dr. Boyson mentioned a whole lot of them. But one significant thing is that I've said it and I want to repeat it. Infection is a contact infection, and the contact is through fluid and blood. In fact, there are some research that is saying that transmission is also taking place through sexual interactions. I am not certain about that, but it has been published in most of papers that Ebola virus can be transmitted through sexual intercourse. So far, the chimpanzees are very common in the Congo forest over there. So when it is attributed to them, possibly it's unlikely that they can be a source of infection. But within the animal kingdom, it is told that some of them die, but some of them do not die. But when it comes to the human beings, the survival rate is very, very low. What makes it very low? Like any other infection, a viral infection, when you get infected, the virus multiplies fast in human beings, and they attack the red blood cells, attack all the sources of protein productions, which are going to synthesize the red blood cells and assist other organs. And before you are aware, the person is in coma and they have to send the person to the hospital. But when they go to the hospital, handling them is also another difficult. Because when you see somebody dying, you have to take all the standard precautions in order to save yourself and then save the patient who has been brought to you. In other words, if the patient is sent to the hospital and the standard precautions are taken at the hospital, it is most unlikely that the nurses can get the health workers can get it. But those guys who are
In case somebody's listening to us, Doc, somebody's listening to us and maybe from Ghana or somewhere, they want to find out what is the standard precaution that you're talking about. What are they supposed to know or adhere
The
to?
standard precaution is simply washing your hand at any point in time. When you handle anything, you have to wash your hands well. Wash your hands with soap and other thing before you touch any other object again. Let me say it again. If you touch the patient, one standard is you have to wear gloves. After wearing the gloves, after you've gone away from that person, take the gloves away, wash your hands before you eat anything. If you don't have those things, what you can do is you wash your hands with soap. In addition, use alcohol to rub all over your hands before you eat something. You don't go and touch infected Ebola with your bare hand and then go away with it and sometimes go to eat. That is no. You have to wash your hand, put your gloves on. After the case, take the gloves away, wash your hand again. And wash your hand is not like going there to rinse your hand. You wash it thoroughly, maybe to your elbow level, and make sure that you are not contaminated with anything about the case that you touched. I hope I'm clear with this one. And then the second thing is that.
Yeah, you are clear.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Before I continue.
Oh no, I don't know whether I mentioned anything like inhalation. Do we have to worry about inhalation as one of the sources? Like for instance, donning face masks or anything. But I believe every viral disease we have to treat it the same. Treat it as if everything is infectious. So, like you said, washing hands, avoiding contact if you know somebody's infected. Those are some of the precautions that we have to take. So don't take anything for granted. I don't know whether somebody can contract it through inhalation or sports or anything. Is there any literature backing inhaling spores or any some of the viral spews from
so
that?
far there's no documentation about airborne. So far the documentation is all about contact disease. But you mentioned about face masks. Yeah, who knows? If you are the patient and maybe she sneezes, no, you can pick something from the droplets. So it is always better to put mask also when you are attending to Ebola cases. And then you have to get a protective clothing to protect yourself so that nothing or none of the fluid can touch your body. So I believe that those are the standard measures to deal with patients of that nature. But as far as
so if I may translate to our people in Ghana, never can say so who say will be Ebola treat me say when you're COVID. Precautions I'll be taking for COVID, no, take the same precautions because you never know. Some of us are a infectious disease or more common or related symptoms because who be all COVID, no. You can experience fever and all that, diarrhea and see. It is whether it's COVID or Ebola, no. Treat it almost the same and take that precautions. Something I just wanted to throw it out there.
That is precisely true. The next thing is that, the reason why people get infected is that sometimes you handle the case, maybe you have a broken skin somewhere, or maybe you scratch yourself and your nails cut your skin, and then you want to rub there. Then you contaminate the wound with the virus that you picked from the person if you did not wash your hands very well. So within 2 to 21 days, you will estimate the symptoms of the disease. And then after you have estimated the symptoms of the disease, then you can also be transmitted the disease to another person. So it is very important that we take the standard precaution very well. Anytime that you are attending to a patient, wash your hands, put on gloves. After that, take the gloves away, wash your hands, and before you go. And then maybe at this point, I also advise that you have to put a mask on when you are going to attend to the patient. After you finish, you take the mask away and throw it away because who knows, something can pop into your mouth from the person, or you can even inhale a droplet from something that has come, because it's only transmitted through fluids, blood and then body fluid. So, but I have not also gotten any information about urine or feces. It's more likely that it could be, but that information is not yet known. What we are noted about is the blood and then body fluid. And then the third thing is that blood, body fluid, and a broken skin. If you have a broken skin and you attend to the patient without washing on, as I said it already, you can rub there and then you can also get an infection. So even if you have a broken skin, it is advised that you don't have to go to a closer place to where you can get in touch with Ebola cases. So Ebola in itself is a very contagious and very severe. Incubation period is not short. It's about short, but that's a wide range. Look at it, 21 days. So any sign that you see, according to the research and the work that has been published by World Health Organization, the initial symptoms look like any other malaria and other disease. Sometimes they were saying that you may be coughing with some blood in it, and sometimes you may be vomiting with blood in it. But again, before those signs come out, you might have gotten a very severe infection then. But the initial symptoms is like what you feel in malaria infection or what you feel in simple common cold infections and other things. So it is always better to frequent to the hospital in order to be able to let them evaluate you, assess you, and see what will happen. The earlier you go, the better that your survival will be. If you keep on late, you will not survive. And then your survival will be about 90%. But if you go early, you'll be part of the early 20% people who can survive their lives. So that is much about the Ebola. We are also told that Ebola is more predominant. It affects, in fact, besides the common people who get the infection at home, it affects the health workers. And again, all that I've said are health workers who take the standard precautions seriously can hardly be infected. But if you don't take it serious, you expose yourself and your risk of getting infection will be very high. Let's look at our traditional way of handling cases. When our family member is sick, you see, sometimes we all go around him, we try to talk to him, we try to pamper him, do some kind of thing that will encourage him, and sometimes we were touching him, we were cooking for him, bathing him. All these things must be stopped. If you identify that a person is showing the signs and symptoms of Ebola, the best thing to do is take the person to the nearest health institution for them to assess him for the evaluation of the disease. But before you take the person there, there's another way that you need to do. You have to be very careful you don't handle him with your bare hand. If there's no gloves in the area, touch him, wash your hands. Touch him, wash your hands. Touch him, wash your hands until the person is sent to the nearest health institution. Another thing is that we are told that there are certain places where he might have stayed and maybe left some kind of fluid on the floor or on that particular place. Fluid or blood may be on the floor, and somebody is going to wipe it or somebody is going to clean the place. You, the person who is going to clean the place, should also have a gloves on. And then, if not gloves, make sure you don't have any broken skin. When you go there, you clean it. The thing that you use to clean it must also be disposed of very well. You don't put it anywhere. Dispose it very well because somebody can also hold it and maybe get infected. So you get all those things and throw them away. The area that he left, some of the blood was there or fluid dropped there, you wipe there very well with the standard measures. Tell the health institutions or the environmental scientists who may be around that area that this is what happened here, and let them come there and evaluate the place, clean the place very well so that nobody can go there and get infection. So that is it. The droplets at certain proportions can also be an exposure place for people to get infection. So that is why we are trying to let you guys know how to deal with the case. Now the barrier. The barrier is also another important place where infection can take place. You see, in cases like this, fluid may be coming from their mouth or maybe from their anus or some other part of the body. So you don't have to lay the person in state. You don't need to do that. When the person dies with Ebola, quickly report to the health inspectors to take care of. And even the room that the person dies need to be taken care of. Everything that he was sleeping on it need to be taken care of. Nobody should take anything from the burdens, and nobody should take anything from that room. Nobody should even go to that room there. They should isolate the room for a purpose of the sentries to do everything that they can do. Before, when they allowed you to go in there, then you can go there. Don't go there on your own to go there and get infection. Let me just caution you. I am not saying that the disease is airborne. The disease have been noted of a contact disease. Can only be transmitted through contact. It can only be transmitted through a broken skin and the fluid that comes from the infected person. Other than that, the disease cannot be transmitted. It is not known yet. We don't know if it is airborne, but it is not airborne yet. But as long as they say that it is fluid related, sneezing is a fluid that comes from human body. So that could be another source. But no, I'm just saying this, prevent yourself, put a mask on so that the person cannot sneeze and drop all those fluid onto your skin, even though it has not been noted that saliva or anything can contain a virus, yet we have to protect ourselves against sneezing from a patient to an exposed person.
Doc, you brought about the point of saliva. Since that is also a body fluid, I would be cautious about deep kissing or something if you know somebody's been infected. I mean, it's something, a precaution that you want to take. This is not where you are doing lovey thing. Okay, you are doing serious kissing. If you know somebody has it, please stay away. I wouldn't dare. I mean,
it's true that there's no literature backing saliva that viruses are in, but as long as we said, it has been mentioned that it's fluid related, then we don't have to be we have to be skeptical about saliva. That something can also go through it and get people infected. In fact, there are some literature that even says that during a sexual relationship, you can also transmit it. I was just looking at the literature now, but it appears that's another cause that the disease can be transmitted, if it is actually true about it. But there's some publications about that too. So as you are saying, the saliva is very important. Then sexual relationship is also very important. If somebody have it and then he's a healthy career and nobody knows about it, you can also transmit the disease if it is sexual.
Thank you.
So we're talking about the barrier. So the barrier issue is that when you leave the work for the health officers to go and bury the person, then they will use all the measures that is required for the barrier to bury the person without any further contact to increase the infection. Let's just be very careful, because it is from one person that gets the disease first, and then the people who will touch him will get it, and the people who touch the person who got infected will also spread it to the next person, and that is how it goes. It's 1 to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16 to 32 to 64. It goes and it continues spreading if we don't take any standard precaution measures to prevent ourselves from getting infected. So the transmission is very important to we, the public health workers. We can stop the disease by following the standard precaution measures and also refrain ourselves from getting in touch with infected person or the person who is dead because of the disease. Let me just touch a little bit about the symptoms and that the person may exhibit when he gets the disease initially. As I've already told you, Ebola has similar symptoms like any other disease, like malaria or other things. But the initial thing that we have been told and published is that it starts with fever, and then you become very weak, fatigue. Then you get malaise, your muscles will be paining you. And then you have a headache, and sometimes you have head truth. And this is very common to so many diseases. So, but at this point in time, you don't have to wait if you are in the Ebola zone when you are showing this kind of symptoms, or even if you are in any country like Ghana, Nigeria, or close to West African countries, and you're showing any of these symptoms, please immediately get in touch with the health institutions in order for them to further diagnose you. Another thing that you can also see that with these signs and symptoms, the additional information or clinical signs that you see is vomiting, you have diarrhea, and sometimes you have abdominal pain, and then you have some rash. We don't know where the rash, some rash may be localized, but this rash is not mentioned where they are, but you find rash in your body. And then in this time, when these three symptoms are exhibiting, you will see that your kidneys and your liver's function are more infected. So you have to run to the hospital as when you have all these signs. Other than that, when you sit there for a longer time, another symptom will come in. And the other symptom that the publishers have said is that you start bleeding internally. You get internal bleeding, and then in your stool or your feces, you have some bleeding in it. Your nose will start bleeding as well. You have a gum bleeding and the vagina bleeding. And sometimes part of your skin, you may also see some bleeding coming there. So at this point, you know that then you are getting to the grave. You become so confused, irritable, and very aggressive. So when you see from the least symptom to the most laudable symptom, tells you that you are getting closer to the grave. So don't wait. Don't wait before you go to see your health workers or your health institution for them to evaluate you. If you allow them to evaluate you earlier with the early symptoms, like when you had a fever, malaise, muscles, and other things, you are more likely to prevent yourself from the disease than to wait until you get internal bleeding. The virus is very potent, and his potency is very, very high with a very high fatal rate. So you don't have to wait until you reach a certain point that when you know that you go to the hospital, you're not going to you're not going to be saved. And again, remember that
curative measures,
when you're showing all these symptoms, it is at this point too that you can transmit the disease to others. Well, you have incubated it, it has shown that you have it, and then anybody over there closer to you that you talked when maybe dealing with you is more highly exposed. So a very high risk of also getting the infection. So with all these three symptoms, from the early symptom to the medium symptom to the latest one, you don't have to wait for the latest one to come, even not the middle one. Go to the hospital when you see the first one. Don't assume that you're in the malaria zone, so that is malaria. No, don't make any assumption when you have all this kind of symptoms. Please go to the hospital and let them see. But when you reach at the stage of where you become confused and irritable and you become very aggressive, yes, you can't do anything by yourself. You have to be supported by somebody. But before anybody comes to tell you, explain to the person of all the symptoms that you have had. So the person will be cautious about himself and protect himself from getting infected. So the person can take you to the hospital for them to see if they can remedy the situation. Now let's look at how this thing can be diagnosed. Besides any other laboratory thing that could be done for them to evaluate the virus that is causing that infection. You must also remember that Ebola in itself has some kind of other infectious disease symptoms. So when you go to the hospital, all that they need is to take your blood sample, which I will allow the prof to elaborate a little bit about it, and then see if they can find any of these 3 viruses in your system in order for them to confirm that you have what you call Ebola. So, Prof, I think let me leave you to explain how the lab work will be done for them to understand how when they go there and they're taking their blood, they will not think that it's something different, but they are trying to confirm what the disease is.
All right, thank you very much. I have a question that I will pose after this description, and then so I'm just looking at some information about how this virus can be identified. I'm just looking at the filamentous nature of this organism. So normally, when you go to the lab, of course, they're going to draw your samples, and I'm sure they could take some other body fluids, like maybe your sputum, your feces, or so, and they culture all those and look at that under the microscope. So it should show some like a film. It looks like a spaghetti shape, because it belongs to what we call the Filovariidae family. That is where this organism belongs to. So they look at that. They look at the measurement, which is about 80 nanometers in length, and then measured between 800 and 1400 nanometers. That's what the microscopic nature of it. When they're taking your sample, they're going under in the culture, they have a medium. Normally the first 24 hours, look at it. Structure, always they will look at it. If there is no growth, if they're using any medium, it's not going to grow. But then if something grows, they're going to take that and then maybe look at it in a microscope and look at the shape. If they can see that long filamentous structure looking like a spaghetti, then they are narrowed down to the organism. So that is some of the things that they're going to look at. If they see that, then hey, we are getting the culprit. So that is something they will be looking at, apart from maybe what the doctor can look at as the outward manifestation, which doctor mentioned about the symptoms, the diarrhea. And of course, as we've rightly said, there are a lot of diseases that portray or show the same symptoms. So it has to be 1 or 2 distinctive symptoms that will identify that this is Ebola from HIV, from COVID or whatever, because most of these diseases have a very common denominator. You experience some diarrhea, you experience feverish conditions. So they are the common denominators, but at least there are 1 or 2 that if you see, that should tell you that this one there, it is Ebola.
Hello. Wow, Prof is gone. I don't know if I'm still on air. Then let me quickly say something about the vaccines. This disease has no confirmed vaccine, but there are some vaccines that have been approved for the treatment of it. And in case you are confirmed with Ebola, when you are confirmed, I don't think you need the vaccines anymore. But those who are not confirmed, but they live in that community, they are the people that should be given the vaccines. Besides that, we are going to look at how to prevent the disease. In this context, prevention of the disease is more of community-based. We have to mobilize the community, educate them on the key way that we can use to prevent further transmission. Because outbreak, they say it's outbreak. When it is outbreak, it means if you don't take care, you carry it to somebody. You get infected, you carry it to another person. That is the mechanism that outbreak take place. You get it, you go to another person, you transmit to the person transmits it to another, other would do it. Then before, within a twinkle of an eye, whole community has been infected. So the community must be mobilized and educated about the disease. Education should be based on transmission, how the disease is transmitted, and then how the disease can be prevented, and the methods that they can use to prevent the transmission. Those are the things that the community should be aware with. And then the community should also be given or be told the way to stop the disease from going to another person, even they themselves getting infected. So if they themselves do not get infected and they cannot infect other person, that means that the intervention has been successful. But if they go and transmit the disease to another person, it means the intervention, they have not been able to implement a good intervention. So what is very important in the control of Ebola is to gather the community, educate them, as I said earlier on, educate them, tell them the root cause of the disease, the symptoms of it, tell them that it has no definitive treatment. You tell them about the transmission method, the portal of exit and exit of entry. Those things should be told to the community, and then you give them preventive measures. If you tell them all these things, and then they take it serious, the disease cannot be transmitted to any other area. And then there you have to also to go to the clinical care. Those who are caring for the patients must be very careful. As I told you that you want to control the disease, you want to prevent the disease. So those who are attending to the patient should not forget to follow the standard precaution, even more than the standard precaution, because they have to wear some gadgets to prevent themselves from touching the infected person, whether dead or infected. They have to gather themselves well in order not to get infected and transmit the disease. Then there's something that we have not touched, is how to dispose of anything that this infected person had had. On the other hand, so you cannot work in the medical personnel alone to prevent this. We need a team of environmentalists, a team of preventionists, a team of nurses, a team of doctors. All these things have to do, all these groups have to come together to work together. So when there's something that needs to be disposed, they give it to the person who is responsible for that. When there's something that needs to be checked in a lab, they give it to a lab person. When there's the diagnosis, the doctors come to do. When there's nursing issue, the nursing come to do. When it's educational issues, the health educator is there to educate the community. If all these things come together in a linked manner, they will be able to contain the disease within the shortest possible time. And then the next thing is there should be a surveillance. A surveillance should be the epidemiologist who is also going to follow the disease from the day that they diagnose it to see where the disease are going. The surveillance is where cases are coming from. You follow the cases and know where they have reported cases, and then you follow it up. Where there's cases that have been reported, follow it up. You go and see the people who have also been either infected or hiding in the places, and they keep on spreading the disease to other people. So you do a surveillance, and then you do contact tracing. The contact tracing is following a case here, and then you see who did you talk to. He will tell you, I spoke with this person. Did the person touch you? Yes. What did he do for you? So that person become another contact. Then you ask them that contact, what happened to him when he went home? Did you talk to your wife or something like that? So contact tracing should be one of the important things that needs to be done. And as I told you, that anybody that is found within this community, if the person is contacted by an infected person, the person should go for laboratory tests. So now the laboratory team will come in and then we draw blood and go there and evaluate the blood and make sure that the person is not infected. So if all of them work together and work together with the community, the flow of the disease will be cut somewhere, and the disease cannot move from the community that is in there. So as I told you, that everything goes with the mobilization of the society and in the community where the issue took place, in addition to the health staff over there. Which people are at human risk? All human beings in that community are at risk when there's Ebola epidemics. Like Ebola epidemics in Congo, almost the length and breadth of Congo, including the nearby countries, and even the Africa at large, all of them are at risk because we have people who travel from place to place every day. Who knows who is carrying Ebola virus? So a consensuous effort should be made by all the countries at their checking point to check those guys with symptoms and signs. If possible, any suspected person, they have to go and check his blood test and make sure that the person is free from Ebola before they allow him to go to the country, because it's very expensive to lose a patient or to lose a person with Ebola and other subsequent things that will also happen. When I see Ebola case, what do I have to do? If you see Ebola case might be isolated. On the other hand, should be, or if you are coming from a Ebola community, you have to be quarantined for a certain period of time. If you do not show any sign of symptoms of it, then you should be allowed to go into the community that you're going. Without, other than that, it is going to be another thing that you will come in there and infect the people. So I want to end my story here so that, Prof, if you have any questions you can ask. Other than that, if you allow me, I will continue talking until the time.
Thank you very much. I must apologize because I got frozen in between. So after I posed the question concerning how Ghanaians or somewhere in that region could avoid contracting, I'm sure I lost connection. So most of the responses I lost, but I think it was still broadcasting, so our listeners must have heard it. And I want to just give some credit to my brother, my friend John, Pastor John. So he made a contribution saying that this Ebola virus is serious, and brothers and sisters in the East Africa need to be careful, and so are all of us. And then our brother Duke also joined us. Thank you for your camaraderie, for joining us and sharing in our broadcast. But Doc, I want to say thank you very much for your insight and and explaining to us the epidemiology of this disease, where it's coming from, what it's doing now, and where it's going to go, and how we can track it. I mean, contact tracing is very important. We have to find out where it's coming from, because if you know where it's coming from, then you know how to treat it. And so for those in Ghana, well, it hasn't reached there from as far as I know, because I know it's in Congo, it's in Uganda, it's in Kenya. And so if somebody travels there, that is how COVID was able to spread. If somebody travels there and peradventure get into contact with somebody who is infected, then the person is going to travel, come back to wherever they are going, their country or their city, and very soon they also infect somebody, and that's how the disease begins to transmit. So we got to be careful. So far, we haven't had any stories or any infection occurring in any of this other African countries. So we have to be cautious. I'm sure they are trying to tame this virus where it is now from spreading. I know the US is deploying people to go and take care of that. So, well, on that note, I want to say thank you to Doug for his insightful knowledge and being available to join us tonight, and especially to our listeners and viewers, our brother John, my brother Duke, for joining, and all of you who are listening. I know some of you can't watch it currently or live, but then the broadcast will still be available on Facebook, YouTube. So please go to Era One TV, Era One radio station, and pick up this the broadcast, and learn something from it, because now health teachings are very rampant. Because I can mention somebody like this guy called Jekum Francis Yabua. He's trending in Ghana because he's doing a lot of teachings on healthcare, and people are picking it up. He's trying to educate the public. So some of these health issues are very important. We have to take care of our life, because you have only one life to lead. And I believe next week we're also going to be looking at know your numbers, and and let me chip in about the way people are dying. I mean, last week I just had a sister of mine's brother-in-law or son-in-law who just passed. Why? It could be just because his blood pressure was very high. I think he must have suffered from stroke or something. So please, don't forget about your annual checkups, and don't even wait till your annual checkup. Every now and then, If you feel a little easy, go see your doctor. Let them look at your vital signs, look at your blood pressure, your pulse, everything. Know your numbers. It's very important. The cholesterol level, sometimes because of the food we eat, we can't avoid them, but it's very imperative. Anyway, Doc has to go back to work. So, Doc, I'm releasing you, and thank you very much for coming through. And so, God willing, we'll meet again on behalf of our studio manager, Dr. Setitu, and the whole Arawam team, the health department, headed by Dr. Enesopoko Ajima. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. I don't know whether Doc has any closing remarks before we leave.
Well, let me just say one or two things. The only two things that I want to give it to people is that this disease has a wildlife to human being, transferred from wildlife to human being, and then it comes to human being to human being.
Okay.
So it makes it from wildlife to human being, makes it more potent. And then when it comes to human being, that is super potent. Then we transfer it to ourselves and kill ourselves. So we should be very mindful of wild animals, and should also be very mindful of touching any infected person. If you touch any infected person, remember that you have exposed yourself. Therefore, every measure that you need to take it. Else, if you get infected, I'll be sad to see you die. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Well, the doctor has spoken, and I don't need to add anything. So have a good weekend, and we'll see you next time. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
C'est mon père, ça me fait bien tiens. Tu me fais dire non kotu, era one radio. C'est mon père, tu me fais bien tiens. Tu me fais dire non kotu, era one radio. Oh, and you pam asam pam
Hello, abusuafo. Midin eye Kofi Black na uguso a ohwe Kofi Black TV. Abusua ene ya bepiem e wa apan so. Na de tie ne se so hwe mensa benkum so a picture da ho ya eye opani a ne din eye Dr. Samuel Osetutu. Na wo se eye enedua yi se de apomuden ho nsem aye dendenden wo mayimunti. Wo bepiem wa apan so wo se ene wo de asi wo se wo ye health insurance e de makromafo nyina free abreko onye obi eska enye no nko awo se wo bi na se ewu mpa a ombe renew no haya de ayede e de ama abreko onye obi eska Dr. Nyankopon enshaw se wo yesa adifefe e de ama kumafui abusua nipa abodompem e wo ha na enye nipa ketwa enam apomudin ho semti na ye besre se otwedi ampo Nyankopon onfa akonya yi so na onhia Dr. Emaye ebi se ene se wo yare na ko hospital na se unkuta health insurance card abusia ya ho kire ene nsempi nti we de doctor nyame onhia opa
ya meka chanse nyame nhyira no onye ne kasema na adwuma a oye nkoso nyame mfa na akode no emo ne ho ban onye ne kase bibibiala oye bia enkoso se wa hu mabuhufo emobo
waye nyame so adwuma pa because obi wo no mo a oniska ode ba beye ni de na wu ba oniska ode ba beye Nyankopon akala koma ode aba oboa banse hiafo ni obi a wontimi ye bi na obi a ni de wu a sika nti wontimi nkoye no ya wontimi nko hospital ya na ase se waya de
okay
oh anope nyane nti yese ye ya yenye insurance ni bida ye owo bia ne de ewu opanyi bi afa ato no ho so hwa ma ye free nti obi a momoden na wo mra enu nti na ye wa ha no
okay na nipa kora odi se adwuma wunim ne de
wada roma de bi minimu no
okay anyway de mefa akonya yiso no mabonidin e de akyerem ye frɛ no Dr. Samuel Osetutu wo ye Dr. Pani pa na wadwen eye kuroyi ma ho on se de apomuden ho sitie no obetima yare odi ne bedru hospital yes woni health insurance enye de ye nhwe no enti no watu asi we se obi a oni bi okuroyi mu bia na omra no be bi free na afi nso se wo bi kura na se ewu a oba ombe renew e de ama e friend no Dr. Samuel Osetutu enti no moso mokoda na mo bompa ya na makai no e wo mpa bom ti e de obi bia ase
na me gina ada Mr. Ose tutu ase se wahunu ahiafo mobo nkwala ne mpanin obi a woni insurance ye wagina wonyame anam ehunu nipa mobo abeya maye wo yonso ha ntimidi onyankopon diri eda nase bibi biara wo hwere fa yonso fo ho fa insurance no onyankopon won hira no onyankopon mo natamfo anifura no mie kwa ma no ma nye kese eda nase nyame hira no amen.
Well, there you have it. That is the message that is going. So please embrace this vision, because Dr. Sethi is doing a very good thing in those parts in Ghana. So we can encourage you, whatever help you can, chip in so that this vision can be fulfilled. Thank you. Have a good evening, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
C'est mon père, ça me fait bien tiens. Tu me fais dire non kotu, era one radio. C'est mon père, tu me fais bien tiens. Tu me fais dire non kotu, era one radio. Oh, and you pantuma, asam pantuma. Chintu,